Hello. So, as you all know, today I'm going to be taking a look at the theme through the looking glass. What? To me, this theme means elaboration, clarification, to delineate a subject into its constituent parts as though peering through a looking glass. In addition, it also references the famous Lewis Carroll story, Alice Through the Looking Glass, a story where the titular character finds herself trapped in a mirror where everything, including logic, is reversed. Now, what I found to be the defining theme of that story is the power of imagination, which is a term that is admittedly rather vague. So today, I'm going to give you all a tour through the looking glass to see some of the things one can do simply by imagining. Now, the first benefit of an imagination is enhancing your creativity. Sounds like a truism, doesn't it? But, in my opinion, there is a surprising amount of depth to the statement. By its inherent nature, the realm of one's imagination is filled with whimsy and fantasy, and such dreams or daydreams can and do lead to new and interesting ideas if applied to practical situations. I remember I once had a dream where I was standing in front of a lecture hall with a blackboard behind me, and there were thousands and thousands of these monster things looking down upon me as though they expected me to teach something. But there was nothing on the blackboard, nor did I remember any lesson plan. So immediately, I had to start improvising something for them to learn. Because if I did not teach anything, they would eat me. So when I woke up, I decided to learn how best to capture and control the attention of large groups of people so as to better handle situations that are like it that would arise in real life, such as this. It was a weird nightmare. Essentially, the point that I'm trying to get across here is that thinking without a box or within a much, much larger box will also help you when you're thinking inside the box as well. And not coincidentally, this is why the technique of brainstorming works. When you try to mentally execute some idea, no matter how ridiculous, there will bound to be a new solution. Another thing that imagining can help you obtain is acceptance. Nowadays, there are many people in our world who espouse strange views and do nonsensical things. I'm sure that every one of you can think of several. And I, for one, already can list a few off the top of my head. For example, in the US, you may have heard of QAnon, or Pizzagate, or the anti-masking movement. On the other hand, no matter what they say or do, the world keeps on rolling, and it's the same through the looking glass as well. Even though Alice is confronted with a world where running away from something brings you closer to it, or moving makes you stay still, she adapts and overcomes. And we can too. My point here is that everything has its own context or logic, which we can then discover. If you can imagine the reasons behind the world's weirdness, suddenly everything begins making a lot more sense. Thirdly, your imagination can provide a lot of information about your psyche. One example of this is in the aforementioned area of your dreams, which have already been shown to provide lots of signs about your fears or wants. For instance, if you dream about getting chased, that means your subconscious is feeling in some way threatened. If you dream about falling, then that is an obvious tell. Your imagination, you are afraid of losing control over some aspect of your life. Of course, dreams may not really mean anything. For example, you might have a dream where you start falling but then you fall into a theme park and start eating Trump-shaped donuts. But sometimes they don't. Another place that can reveal clues about your inner self is your fantasies. After all, fantasies depict what you truly want, whether it is socially acceptable or not. And overall, you can use this information to improve yourself. If your fantasies show that you have controlling tendencies, maybe you should try to be less domineering in your interactions. If your dreams show that you are feeling threatened, maybe you should try to find a real-life root cause of that anxiety and resolve it. Finally, you can use your imagination to create worlds. Now, if that point sounds a bit confusing, let me first preface it with another anecdote. This summer, I was attending a talk at a youth development center where the speaker's topic was the various levels of leadership, exploring a range of factors which corresponded to various levels of devotion within a leader's subordinates. At the very top was a visionary, the speaker explained, somebody with the power to unite people under a common objective. Now, let us take a look at what every famous political movement or party has in common. The Nazi Party, the Bolsheviks, the Civil Rights Movement in America. All of them were united by a leader and party with a collective dream. The dream of a better world in some specific aspect. Regardless of what their goals were, they all depended on imagination, the capacity to see the world as it should be. Personally, I would agree with the speaker. If one wishes to be a good leader, one must be able to visualize their goals and plan to achieve them effectively. So, to recap, an imagination is a wonderful thing. It can help you create something from which there was previously nothing, obtain answers from nonsense, understand what is hardest of all to understand, and unite many into one. That is all.